Gemini, you have the star as your love card. And for some of you, there's a strong tie to an Aquarius person. It could be their sun, their moon, or their rising sign. Others of you, maybe you're involved with someone who's got a lot of pulling power. Maybe this person has some measure of status, fame, celebrity, recognition. They've got a star quality about them. Maybe technology plays a role, or maybe even an astrologer leads you to love. But for most of you, this is about hope, about faith, faith in love, in a particular relationship, faith that you'll find a partner. And there may be events throughout the year that, motivate you, provide that inspiration to keep moving forward. You may receive some kind of illumination this year because you are being divinely guided on a particular path. And so the more faith you believe, the easier it is for you to rely on the kind of hope that can refresh you, give you that sense of renewal, and rejuvenate your life. Maybe that's all you have. If you haven't found the right partner or things haven't been going well in your relationship, you may, depend on hope and faith to motivate you to keep going forward. And this could be a year where there is an important transition, and you may feel that even though you don't know exactly where you're headed at the moment. It's a year where you may be really strongly tied to your partner intuitively. But it's also a year where you have to trust yourself. You have to rely on your inner guidance. Maybe you're learning more about relationships. Maybe you're learning more about yourself. There's the unveiling of some kind of truth, some kind of enlightenment that is going to come to you. Maybe you're going to discover some secrets this year about yourself, about a partner, about what you want, about where you're headed. This is, you trying to solve some kind of mystery. Now, maybe you're involved with somebody or interested in someone who's very enigmatic. You just haven't been able to get them, haven't been able to figure them out. Now, your rapport or communication that you have as far as relating, there's a sense of loss here. And maybe that's what you're focused on, to the point that you don't see the good of things. Maybe you turn your back on family or the possibility for family, or you turn your back on people that are your kindred spirits, your group, your friends, your associations that could be meaningful because you're so focused on what you've lost or what you don't have. Maybe, there's this what's the use attitude or behavior. And part of that may be you setting yourself up for the next disappointment. Maybe you just continue to dig yourself into some kind of hole that you really want to get out of. And maybe the message is that, you have to be mindful of the choices that you make. Now, again, if you've suffered some kind of loss, maybe you've turned your back on a partnership, or some of you may actually be grieving because of an actual loss, and it makes it difficult for you to connect emotionally or think about relationship because you're so focused on that loss. But there is a bridge over troubled waters for you. But others of you, there's a sense of disappointment, and the message there is be careful about getting involved or re-involved with people or habits that only serve to disappoint you. So, this is sort of like history repeating itself. If someone has told you who they are and they've shown you that, then you should believe that, regardless of what that message is. So some of you, you're questioning the path that you're on and the sincerity maybe of your partner, the path that you're headed. There's a conflict between your logic and your emotions. Maybe family has a big influence on that, positively or negatively. Maybe you're looking for your group or your tribe, or you want to start that family, and you just haven't been able to. But this is a year where, again, you can salvage situations. As soon as you start focusing on a better future and taking better care of yourself physically and emotionally, things are going to start flowing again. So it could be that your communication suffers with the partner because there's a tendency to be brooding or moody or turn your back or get so self-absorbed in a situation that your relationship suffers. And it could be that family, you may feel that they've interfered in some way, that they have maybe kept you from achieving the things that you wanted to have as far as relationship. Now, love and affection, there are some trust issues or perhaps concern for trust. You have important decisions to make, choices to make. And maybe you don't always trust your own decisions, or you don't always trust your partner. But it's possible that, there's a mutual exchange of admiration. Now, maybe, you're hoping to get involved with someone and they don't know that they hold the key to your heart. Or maybe there's someone interested in you, and maybe you're not aware of it. Maybe it's somebody that you never considered, or they are hesitant to come forward. So somebody has to make a decision. Maybe you admire your partner for their sense of fairness, their sense of balance, or that's what you're looking for in someone. And you may be looking for someone who can equally share the load. It's going to be an equal give and take between you and someone else, especially where emotions and trust and feeling protected, because you may sense a vulnerability. Maybe it is being too vulnerable to make that decision to step out there and tell somebody that you care, or maybe you sense, the other way around. As far as the chemistry and the physical attraction, you may be waiting for that move, or maybe you've been disappointed. Maybe you're looking for a new relationship. Maybe someone, far away. Or maybe this is a long distance relationship and you can't always be physical with one another. And maybe that's part of, that sense of renewal or wanting to connect to someone. And not really knowing. There's kind of an uncertainty about the future. But it could be that you've been just disappointed with the past. Now, the past physical connection in your relationships, or maybe you're ready to move forward, you're interested in someone new. But it could be that you're waiting, especially if one of you is grieving or mourning. Maybe you're waiting. Maybe the physicality isn't the priority because, that you need to go the distance with a person. Maybe they're going through a hard time, or maybe that's you. And so there, something has to be worth waiting for. Maybe, there's a tendency for you to allow the relationship to reach a certain point, and you're waiting for when it's worth that, and then you'll go the distance. You'll go all the way. So some of you're moving on or you're moving forward, but you want to make your own decisions, your own path. And maybe, in the past you had some whirlwind relationships, or maybe there's just this magnetic spark with you and another person. But there is some measure of disappointment also with the past and wanting something new and different. Now, the values that you share may have to do with recognizing the strength of an opportunity. Perhaps, you both share this intense connection, or, you have a great sense of romance, or It could be that both of you know when to hold back, when to put ego in check, and that's the value that you have. Especially if you deal with, when you hit a rough patch, a crisis moment, something stressful or something life-altering, something that turns your world upside down, there's an opportunity to bring out your strengths, either one of you. Maybe you step up to the plate, you're loyal, you're faithful, you're there when it's difficult, when things hit the fan. And maybe that's the value that you share with one another, that you can go through crisis situations and come out on the other side. It might also be that, you both like to speculate a little bit. You like to take a risk. You like to take a gamble, maybe financially or sexually or emotionally. You might be willing to step out there. You may have a shared value of knowing how to regenerate. When it all falls down, you know how to build it back up in a better, bigger, stronger way. So for some of you, this is about knowing when to keep your mouth shut, put your ego in check, put your, lower self aside for the greater good, for something that's more important. So you both may share that as a value. But the conflict is kind of at odds with that, because sometimes there's some impulsiveness, the desire to be rash or act quickly. Sometimes one of you may pull the other into conflict, and you feel like, maybe timing is an issue. There's a rush to push things forward or move a situation or create a certain outcome, but divine time is at play, and it has to happen according to the universe and how that's been orchestrated. Now, maybe you are receptive to something, you want to move forward, but you feel like you're continuously blocked. And that may be when the discord between you flares up. Because remember, I said that the star card is about receiving some kind of reward or benefit based on your faith, but not necessarily in the time or manner that you're expecting. Maybe one of you doesn't want to accept no for an answer. You want things on your terms, in your time, according to your plan. And there's a strong message here about choosing your battles wisely, knowing what is worth fighting for, fighting against, or fighting at all. And so maybe there's an issue with that, the timing of an argument. Maybe you spark up a confrontation at the wrong moment. There's a time and a place for everything, and maybe, certain things should be discussed at a certain time. Probably not when you're angry or irrational. Maybe when your emotions have calmed down, or you can think clearly or use logic. And also, there may be certain times where one of you is blocking communication, and that may be the very time that you need to have a discussion. So that's the area of contention, the timing of communication, saying something or holding something back. So knowing when to speak, when to hold back, the words to say, what's worth fighting for. The symbolism for the mermaid on this card is a connection to the magic, the mystery, the divine that lies within you. And it symbolizes your independence, your individuality. It brings a sense of rebirth, renewal, regeneration, transformation, and those are important themes for you this year with regard to love and romance. But it also speaks to the seductive and dangerous nature of certain situations that lure you in, that can prove to be fatal. Here's your sneak peek for the year in love.